Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Marianne Petrie. You can find me, my books, and blogs on dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com. The book, Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Was Not Enough, came out in 2020, followed by Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth, followed by Raised by These Wolves, How Family and Federal Courts Are Failing Our Children, which became a bestseller. July 19th, Raised by These Wolves, Volume 2, Child Trafficking Through the Foster Care and Court Systems, became a bestseller the first day. Please feel free to buy me a coffee to help keep this podcast going. And my new guest is Ronda Gonzalez Atkins. We're going to talk about what really goes on in Rockford, Illinois with police brutality and possible racism. So I totally welcome you, Ronda, because we had Kia Walker on previously. She was on season 5, episode 77, and season 5, episode 112, where we had talked about the level of racism in Illinois when a grandmother honks her car horn and is pulled over by the police. So I totally welcome you, Ronda Gonzalez. You're going to enlighten us. I welcome you to the podcast.
Thank you.
So tell me, how did you find all this out?
I had been dealing with this with my son.
Mm-hmm.
They have been targeting him, and he was arrested. When he was arrested, they broke his arm.
Mm-hmm.
And that officer has 8 different lawsuits against him now. And in Illinois, they hide them.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to find 8. After I had said that, then I haven't been able to find them since, but I did screenshot them, so I do have them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm able to look them up.
Because you said those were like, that made the news. That made the newspaper.
This didn't with him.
Uh-huh.
But there was one that did make the newspaper with that was last year, and he was charged with or accused of domestic violence. The girlfriend called. When the police got there, he wasn't there, or he ran. I don't remember which. Anyway, she had left later on that day. He came back home. His son was there with him. I believe the son was about 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They said that he was coming up from the basement. The police came in there. They said that he had a pipe in his hand. Now, that isn't always true with this sheriff's department.
Yeah, we never know.
Yeah. And I don't believe it. But they shot him 12 times. One officer shot him 11 times. The other one shot him 1 time.
Mm-hmm.
And they were cleared. They were cleared of any wrongdoing, even after 11 shots. And the son was there.
Mm.
I just can't even imagine.
No, the trauma that child must have went through.
Right. Oh my goodness. I would be horrified.
Mm-hmm. And this is
My grandson was actually there when my son was arrested.
mm-hmm. That's even traumatizing to a child as well.
Yeah.
No child should witness anything like that.
No, they should not. It is just horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And they put you through so much. And half the stuff is, you don't know if it's true or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now this officer that I was talking about with my son, he has 8 different cases, and he's only been a police officer for 4 years.
Oh.
I've looked up other officers that were involved with that case, and they have exemplary records.
Hmm.
So it's not all police officers in Winnebago County. There's just some that are, crooked, and I think this guy probably, was bullied and now he bullies people,
Mm-hmm.
is what it sounds like to me. Because to have 8, that I know of, that we know of, I'm sure there's more that people never even, brought to light.
Mm-hmm. I'm
But
sure.
to have 8 in 4 years,
Right. There's a personality disorder issue there.
yeah, for excessive force. And the sheriff himself, Gary Caruana, was uh mentioned in the lawsuit also, along with this sheriff, Stephen Schumaker.
Mm-hmm. And he's still a young pup. He's what, 36?
36, yes.
Huh.
So that sheriff is aware that this guy has problems, that there's anger issues or something,
Mm-hmm.
because you shouldn't be able to break people's arms. You shouldn't be able to break people's legs or, anything else.
Mm-hmm.
There's It's just not right.
Yeah, I like to say we're not living in a third world country, but now, I'm
Yeah.
beginning to wonder.
Yes. Yes. In this town, you actually are, because they police everything. They're county wide. So they can go in the city, they can go anywhere they want.
It seems Winnebago is worse than Rockford.
Winnebago County is Rockford.
Oh, sorry. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not from there. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Winnebago County is Rockford. And so they can go anywhere in the city that they want to. And there's other parts of the city also, other parts of the county that isn't Rockford, like
mhm.
McChesney Park and Roscoe, uh, Rockton, Winnebago, Pecatonica. That's all Winnebago County. So they can go anywhere they want.
And Winnebago County, Illinois has this jail that
Yes.
they have also it's you had showed me a picture and I'll let you show it. It's a form of like harassment to the prisoners, right?
Yeah, well, this was given to people on the street or whatever.
Now it's
Um, it was given like actually how this came to light was, it was given to somebody that was going to be arrested. And they took her in and they gave her this card, and she said that she felt intimidated by it.
yes.
Now, looking at this, who wouldn't feel intimidated by
Oh,
it?
when I saw that, that just like turned my stomach.
Yes.
It says Winnebago County Sheriff. Can you hold that up 1 second? It says Winnebago County Sheriff removes skull logo from the department. So like where was it? I mean, was it on a wall in the department as well?
I'm not sure. See, that we're never going to know. I'm
Okay.
It probably was, but they used it as letterhead.
Oh no. No, no, no.
Yes. They used it as letterhead. They used it on cards, like business cards for the sheriff, for this unit. It was a tactical unit, gang um and drug task force or something, and they used that. This was back in, I believe he okayed it in 2013.
Oh.
And this was brought to light in 2015 when this woman was arrested.
Hmm.
And so in 2017, they were ordered to not use that logo anymore. The ACLU got involved.
Wow.
And this is all, I mean, all I did was just Google Winnebago County Sheriff's Department. And all this stuff comes up, these incidents.
This is just absolutely just deplorable,
Yes,
the least.
mind blowing.
I mean,
How that sheriff thought that that was okay. And he stood by it. He did try to backtrack and say um that it should have been okayed by somebody else too, trying to, kind of pass the buck and put it off on him.
mm-hmm.
There's also another sheriff that is in charge of investigations, chief of investigations. He killed uh, two family members, injured the other one very badly. She's not going to be the same ever again.
Mm.
And he was driving at 100 miles an hour, didn't have his lights or sirens on, chasing somebody, and he smashed right into this car,
Oh no.
killed these two kids. And do you know, now he was suspended for 6 months. That was the longest suspension, and without pay. That was the longest suspension in Winnebago County history.
I bet he got unemployment though.
Probably, but now he was promoted to chief of investigations.
Ah, typical.
Now, how, and he was charged for reckless homicide. I feel sorry for this sheriff because he did go through a lot. It put his family and him through a lot. You could see how he had aged and stuff, And I do think it was a genuine accident. However, the problem that I have is he didn't have his lights and sirens on.
Right. I wonder why.
That's where I think he was negligent.
Right. Oh, geez, what a mess.
But nobody's ever held responsible. They're not held responsible for anything they do.
Mm-mm.
Now, the Rockford City Police Department,
Mm-hmm.
they have a different head, and she's really cracking down, and she's doing really good. Carla Redd. She is shaping that police department up. She's getting rid of of people that aren't doing right,
Mm-hmm.
and like this and she's going and looking at body cam footage just randomly.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know, she found this body cam footage, and she held that person responsible, and they charged him.
Wow.
Yes, but that won't happen with Winnebago County.
But if Rockland is part of Winnebago, right?
Rockford is Winnebago County. Yeah.
So then why wouldn't she infiltrate Winnebago then?
Because it's city.
Oh,
They police
jurisdiction.
the city of Rockford, and then the Winnebago County polices the county part of Rockford.
Oh, so it's like a jurisdiction thing.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
But they can go in the city. They usually don't.
hmm.
They have enough to police in the county.
I guess
The
so.
county's pretty big.
Now,
We're like the second or third largest city in Illinois.
I can't imagine what the jail is like.
Oh, it's horrible.
Mhm.
They will there's one corrections officer that will single you out. And if he doesn't like you, he will make life miserable for you. But there are some that are
Mhm.
really nice, and they're there for the right reasons.
Mhm.
But you always have some that aren't.
Right.
Now, with a sheriff, that isn't, you know, that isn't holding anybody responsible for, you know, his officers responsible, you can't expect any better.
Mhm.
It's like the insane running the insane asylum.
Yeah. Yeah. The inmates are running the asylum. Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's exactly what this is. I mean, I just can't imagine somebody could keep their job and has been accused 8 times. Now you know that it was a whole lot more than 8 times, because there's people that don't want to uh file a report
Hmm.
out of fear that they're going to be retaliated on,
Hmm.
which that's happened. And there's other ones that, you know, just thinks that nothing's going to happen, so why waste your time filing a report, because they get away with everything.
But I feel if people would file reports, if everyone did it and they had all these reports, they would have to look at them.
But look, there's been 8 that I know of, and every time that I looked, I found more.
Right.
So I know that there's been more cases that he's involved in, that this officer's involved in.
Right.
And the reports, when you read the reports, they're not, they don't give the whole thing. Now, my son went to the hospital of a broken arm that they did.
Hmm. Hmm.
He has problems reaching his arm all the way behind him. He's had that since he was born,
Uh-huh.
since he was little. And he told them repeatedly. They didn't put that in the report. They didn't put that they broke his arm in the report. They just put that he was transferred to, that he was taken to the hospital. And then they put that he was cleared medically. But
Uh,
they had told him that he needed a surgery that day in order to get the best mobility, you
hmm.
know, the best outcome. And they didn't care.
Hmm.
But they wrote that he was medically cleared. He was not.
These are human rights violations. And this is
Yes.
global. This is a global issue.
Yes. And that's what I wanted to do, was share this, because this needs to come to light. People need to understand that, you know, this could happen to your child.
Hmm.
You know, I take care of my dad. I don't go out. I don't do anything. You
Hmm.
know, I'm not out here breaking the law and stuff, but it happened to my child.
Hmm. Was it a false arrest? Because that's all I hear a lot.
That I that I mean, we're still dealing, so we don't know.
Okay. I know there's certain things you cannot discuss, so I
Yeah, that I
understand that.
can't.
Okay.
Um, but I, you know, I do know that this stuff was in the report.
Mm. Yeah. It's very scary when you're in there because, well, I remember when I was in there, it was like night shift was really mean. The day shift corrections officers were pretty decent. You know, you had some ones that were just I didn't have my glasses on, so I asked her if she could write down a phone number or I don't know, some type of number for me. And she kind of just rolled her eyes and just, wrote it all out really big. It's like, thanks, and then one corrections officer, he was really nice. He took me aside. He said, "Hey, don't drink that sugary substance. That could shut your kidneys down. Just drink the water." So I mean, there are some good ones and you've got some really bad ones. Really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. See, and there are some people that see you in the jail as a human being,
Right.
but a lot of them just see you as an animal or, whatever. I mean, I have dogs and I would never treat my dogs this way.
Right.
So even referring them to it as an animal, I don't know how you could treat them treat human beings this way.
Right, because there's a lot of innocent people sitting behind bars at taxpayer expense, such as myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, here your son had a broken arm. I was having chest pain. I asked to go to the ER, and the guard who had her hair back in a ponytail, like a twerp, she goes, I said, I think I need to go to the ER and get checked out. And she just leaned over the counter and snidely said, "We don't do that here." I thought, okay, if I told God, I said, I don't want to die in here. So, I lasted 5 days in there, and I had my dad bail me out. He was 79 at the time. This is how they extort money from people.
Yeah. 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 And they give them tablets, and they are locked down from noon till the next day, and they're given tablets, and it's 5 cents a minute to watch a movie, or even to look at their text messages. If I send them a text message or something,
Oh, yeah.
it was it cost him 5 cents a minute.
Right, right. Because my dad called me collect. And when I got out of there, he said, this phone call, because he got the bill, he said, this phone call was $40. And we were only on the phone 3 minutes because I was explaining what to do and how to get me out of there. And we weren't even on there for half an hour. I mean, I'm talking maybe 3 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is, I know they have prison trade shows. Did you know that? They have, all these prison trade shows where they could buy the latest toilet that flushes faster, the latest handcuffs, the latest, whatever they can come up with.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I was watching that on TV and it's like, this is disgusting. In America, we should be rehabilitating. Now, granted, I know there are people that deserve to be in there and there are people that are not rehabilitatable. I understand that. But for the most part, I think some people are. And where I was at, it should have been a drug and alcohol unit. Because all these women were on essentially, drugs. So it's like, so we're not rehabilitating them either.
Yeah. And then they're coming down off of whatever they're on,
Yeah.
whatever they were on, and having meltdowns and you know going goofy on people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right, right. And there, I hate to say it, there were two very young girls that were pregnant. And I just overheard conversations and she said, they're not going to take us into the hospital until we're in full labor. That's wrong. But I have to say, I delivered three babies without any medication. But
Me
my
too.
my I had a midwife and I called her and I said, "Hey, I'm in labor." She says, "Call me back when you can't talk." So so they want you ready to go. I
Yeah.
I you know I didn't I just didn't talk to because I just didn't know who to talk to.
Yeah.
But everyone was kind in there in this pod I was in. But it's not like that in other, you know, cities, states.
Well, I think they have a commonality. They're all in there for, either guilty or innocent, but they've all been accused of something,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all going through the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
trying to, trying to prove their innocence, or, whatever it is. Or like you said, just trying to get off of drugs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we really have got to do better.
Yes. Yes, we do. And I believe the first thing we need to do is educate the officers better.
Mhm.
what is acceptable, what isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because I read that that whatever you were accused of, the crime that you were accused of, determines how much force they can use against you.
Oh, that's like a double standard.
That's the rule.
Well, what if you did a crime and yet you're calm when they approach you? They don't have to rough you up.
Yeah. Or you were already on the ground
Right, right.
and they break your arm, you know?
Ah,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. This needs to be addressed, because it's not when, or if, it's when they're going to kill, people out there that are taxpayers, and I mean, you don't need this.
mm-mm,
This is just something that could have been avoided. Like that father, how many hours of therapy is that child going to need?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
12 shots?
Right. He could be in therapy for the rest of his life. Some people have to be in therapy for the rest of their lives.
Right. And it's not going to fix, he's never going to be right,
Mm-mm.
or how about the cop that was promoted? And, now the mother had 3 children. She has one, and the one daughter isn't the same as she used to be, walking, and she
Mm-hmm.
had brain trauma.
After that accident, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
And survivor's guilt,
mm-hmm.
because she survived and her other 2 brothers didn't.
Mm.
And he the one of the guys had a kid, and they'll never know their dad, they'll never know their uncle. And the woman said, he'll never know my daughter, his aunt, the way that she used to be.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I just could not imagine that.
no.
And nothing is done to these people, nothing.
Mm-mm.
And then go around, and intimidating people with their logo.
Yeah, that's uncalled for. That is just,
I mean, that when I read that, I was just like, oh my word, what in the world? I mean, and then to see that the sheriff himself okayed that. In what world does that look like a police officer's logo?
ugh.
It might be a tactical department, but you have to remember you're a police officer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So your logo should reflect that you're a police officer, not that you're trying to kill somebody, or you're big and bad. And this stuff is not right that's happening.
Mm-mm.
And this officer that I was talking about, that Stephen Schumaker,
Mm-hmm.
he is young. He's only 36. And for that many cases, and only been an officer since March 6th of 2020.
Mm.
I mean, when is the sheriff going to wake up and realize he's got a problem?
Right.
You
He
know,
he has an officer that needs to find another job doing something else.
yes. I mean, when is he going to realize that he has a problem in his department?
Mm-hmm.
And there was another officer that's only been an officer for a year. He was a merited officer. Merited, I guess, means that you're part of the medical emergency, like you can give basic first aid. But he was sent with this officer. with the officer, with this Stephen Schumaker. So that goes to tell you, they already know that whoever gets him is going to need medical
Oh,
attention.
that's terrible. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
you can't make this up.
No, you can't. You cannot. And when I thought merited, what does that mean? Maybe he's just like an honorary or
Mhm.
something. No. It means medical able to give medical
Oh.
attention. Yeah.
So he followed Shoemaker around.
Yes. That day I don't know. Now when I looked him up, it said that they are often called together. So I don't know.
Ugh.
But that just goes to show you. And he's not even been an officer a year. He was an officer for since January, and he wrote the report. I believe it's January 19th of this year, and he wrote the report. And I mean, the the stuff that he left out. So who's teaching him? He's getting taught by the guy that has the anger issues.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I mean, how can you say that he doesn't have a problem or
Right.
an anger issue when this has happened so many times?
Mhm.
Like I said, I've looked up other officers. There was an officer that was involved in this. He was an officer for 15 years. It's been around 15 years. It could be a little bit less than that. But he's been an exemplary officer.
Oh.
He got award for in March or in May. He dove inside of a river in the river to save somebody from
Mhm.
drowning. Here in Illinois, it's cold.
Yeah, right.
And all he did was he went home, washed himself off, just kind of rinsed himself off, put on a different uniform and
Um,
a different boots and went back to work.
there are good ones.
Yes. And that's, and I want to make sure that I do credit them because there are some really, really good officers. But then there's, bad ones. And
Mhm.
if you have a bad apple in a bunch,
Yeah.
it ruins the whole basket.
Mhm.
So this officer that I was saying has the anger issues, he's taken away the glory from the other one that, because he's overshining them
That's a
with
very
his
good
bad
point.
behavior.
Right, right. That's a very good point.
Yeah. And I mean, if he learns from it, but after 8 times, well,
Mm.
now it'll be 10, but after that, I mean, when is he going to learn? If he hasn't learned all these other times,
Right.
if he's not, and he's went to court and they've the city or the county will just go ahead and pay it. They'll just settle it, you know, to keep it out of the courts or out of the newspapers.
Mhm. Definitely, and I noticed that ho whatever goes on, they don't mention the attorneys' names either.
No, no. And the officers are mentioned, but they're mentioned almost at the end, at the bottom of the article, so that probably, somebody's going to give up. Well, I didn't give up. I read the whole article because I wanted to know who it was.
Right. just very discouraging. Uh,
And a lot of our officers, a lot of our officers, they don't even live in the town that they're policing. So they don't have to worry about this corrupt crap.
hmm,
They're out of the county, they're out of the town. So they can go on about their, daily life and not have to worry about getting somebody like themselves.
hmm. Huh. Or even would they? Because aren't, I mean, I'm sure they're all friends.
Well,
I would,
yeah. Yeah, so they probably wouldn't even have to worry about it. But there's always a rule follower, so there's always that chance that there's one person that's going to hold them accountable.
right.
But the chances of that are slim to none.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a shame. The corruption out there is just, it's rampant.
Yes. It's getting worse. Like you said with Kia,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the thing of it is, I seen that podcast. I was listening to her talk and it didn't say Rockford, Illinois on there. And I searched the notes and because I'm like, it's got to be Rockford. She's got to be from Rockford. The way that she's talking about what the officers did
Mm-hmm.
and how they pulled her out and the things that they said to her, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, there's no way this is not Rockford. And sure enough, it was.
Yeah. See, this is why we say we can't make this up.
Yeah.
This can happen to anybody, and everyone needs to know that. You could be going along your merry way, you could be doing your speed limit and behaving, and this can still happen to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, but to recognize it right away just from the description, I think we have a problem.
Oh, I agree. That's why I was glad you contacted me. I mean, I'm sorry all this is happening, and I'm glad they took that logo down, which is very
Yes.
disturbing. It's
But
just
look at how many years it took them to take it down. And the sheriff was fighting to keep the logo.
now they
The
had
ACLU had to get involved.
so they had that logo up longer than 2 years, do you think? It had to
Oh,
been.
yes, 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 yes. Because this was in 2013 when he okayed it.
Mm.
And they didn't find out about it until 2015, and he wasn't ordered to take it down until 2017. So 4 years.
Okay, so 2017, he was ordered to take it down.
Yes,
That's right. Oh, these people should be ashamed of themselves.
they should. They should. And he, and it says promoting excellence uh and protect and to serve. Who the hell are they protecting or serving?
Hmm. Yeah,
It's not us.
yeah, especially if they have to send a medic, right, along with.
Yeah. Now, why would you need an officer trained in field medicine or I think it's just first aid, like uh knowing what to do with high blood pressure, knowing how to stop
Oh,
bleeding or something
yeah.
like that, or to triage somebody with a broken arm real quick or something like that. But why would you need them?
Or could he have been a babysitter? Because we had a judge who was like, she was screaming at attorneys and litigants on both sides. She was just screaming at everybody. And she had a babysitter for 8 months to
Well,
monitor
this
behavior.
if he was a babysitter, he's not very good. So I
Okay.
I
Yeah,
highly
then
doubt
he's not.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Wow.
The other one now that had the exemplary record, That's probably how come nobody was killed, is because he was probably the babysitter.
Jeez. Yeah.
If I had to, if I had to pick babysitters, that would probably be the one that I would say would have been the babysitter.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh.
Because the other one, the way that he wrote the report and things like that, I I don't think he was a babysitter, and he was only an officer for less than a year. So
Mm. That's interesting.
yeah, and I I don't know. I mean, but you would think somebody needs to babysit this guy, or better yet, just get rid of him,
Yeah, just fire him. He should have been like fired on the second problem.
or even the fourth. Give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But you know, I mean, 8. Come on.
Mm-mm.
If
Oh.
8 people are saying that you're doing something, you're doing something. And it was civil rights violations,
Hmm.
the reason that he went to court.
Now, he's still in court, right?
I don't know. See, it wouldn't let you open it all up and read it,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
because in Illinois it's to protect the police officers.
Mm.
What about the public?
Uh, right, right.
But see, if you don't know that there's police officers that are doing this type stuff and you can't find these records, then there's not, you can't bring it to their attention. And that's what's happening.
Hmm.
They're hiding this stuff, and they're able to, just kind of shove it under the rug and get by with this.
No.
And it's just wrong.
Right, right. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want to see another mother have to bury their son or daughter, another child that has to go without seeing their parents because they were killed
Hmm.
for, I mean, something simple. Like, look at Kia. Hers was a traffic stop. That
Hmm.
should not have escalated to the point where she was arrested.
Correct.
This is out of hand.
Hmm.
And if the mayor, the governor, or like even the city officials,
Hmm.
the city board. Now this has came up in front of them how many times? Because they have to vote on it. Why didn't they say, look, this officer is in, involved in these a lot?
Right, right. And also going back to Kia, even though she honked her horn, the officer could have gone over and said, "Hey, do there's an ordinance where you're not allowed to honk your horn. So just move your car and just keep going. Just go home or wherever you're going." You know what I mean?
Was there an ordinance though? I don't
I
think
think
there
there
is.
was. I thought there was.
Oh, it could have been one that they made up.
Right. Yeah, yeah, because you just never know what you're being told.
Yeah.
Unless
But
you know.
I think it was downtown. So
Oh,
maybe.
geez.
But I've been downtown several times. I've heard many horns being honked.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Right. Oh,
I mean, I've accidentally honked my horn, hit my horn with my purse when I got in the car.
right. Oh,
So it could have been an accident. They don't know what happened.
hmm.
Why she honked her horn.
And again, at taxpayers' expense, wasting time and money at the
Yeah.
taxpayers' expense.
Yeah, for something as simple as a horn honk.
Don't know. Oh my. Oh,
and to take her all the way to jail.
that's ridiculous. That's the part so ridiculous.
See, and that's overkill, you know, and that's what I think needs to be shined a light on, is that they're making this stuff a lot bigger than what it needs to be.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, and it's sad, but before you call a law officer, you know, a law enforcement officer or cops to
Hmm.
your home, you need to think, do
Oh
I
yeah.
really want to invite this problem into my home? Because you're inviting a stranger that holds a gun
Hmm. Hmm.
and has a license to shoot and kill.
Right. And, they're also not educated in the penal codes. I know there's only so much they can teach these officers when they're going through, police academy.
Yeah.
Uh, but they should be teaching them more. Maybe they should extend police academy. I don't know how long it is, if it's 1 year or 2 years, but maybe they should make it 3 or 4.
Yeah. Now my cousin, to be a corrections officer, she actually went to college.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that you have to go to college to be a corrections officer, but she did. And I don't believe you have to go to college to become an officer. I think, and this one, a lot of these were corrections officers and then promoted to sheriff.
Okay.
So they may not have even had to go through sheriff training,
Oh,
you know, because they were promoted.
right. Hmm. See, and then when they get promoted, they should be required to do like CEUs, like a whole bunch of them.
Exactly. You know, we have continuing education hours for pharmacists, for beauticians, barbers, cosmetologists.
Nurses.
Yeah, exactly. But there's none for police officers.
See, and they're handling people's lives as well. I mean,
Exactly. And you know, I believe it should be every 6 months for these.
right, right. And I also think they should do psych evals on these officers maybe every 2 years.
Amen.
Just
They
see.
really they need it.
Yeah, I mean, not to do it just, like to be mean, but just to make sure they're okay.
Well, no, because if you think about it, what they're seeing every day,
Right.
the stuff that they see, because they're seeing things like, you know, real and you know, it's like, you know, somebody that was shot or something and their whole chest is opened up and, you know,
Mhm.
stuff
Mhm.
like that. I mean, they're seeing actual things that are horrible that would make anybody need a a psychologist or to talk to a counselor. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's
Definitely.
not, no, it's not to be mean. It's because they're traumatized daily. There's no way that you can be unaffected by that.
Cor correct, and I think, I don't know if they offer counseling services in their police department.
I'm sure they do, but probably uh very few seek it because it'll be on their record.
Right. But it should be exemplary if they're going to a counselor. They should be, you know
Yeah, it should be exempt, you know, it shouldn't be on their record, you
right,
know, or they should look at it as as they're doing something good for themselves,
right,
not
self-care.
anything that should be against them.
I agree. I agree.
You know, I'm not trying to bash the police department or anything,
Mhm.
because what they do is unimaginable,
Mhm.
the things that they have to deal with, and you know, the people that they come in contact with.
Mhm.
It's just the way that they go about it, and the education that the officers have
Mhm.
maybe isn't as good as what it should be. And nobody is held to task like they should be.
I agree.
I'm thankful every day for the police officers. I have police officers in my family,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not going around, killing people and breaking arms and you know giving black eyes and stuff. They're not doing that. My cousin is an officer in Arizona. He took a child in and gave him a home because he seen that he was a good, smart kid, and that where he was at, he didn't have a chance. So
Mm-hmm.
he took him in, and him and his wife gave him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And that kid is he is somebody today because of that.
Yeah, there are good ones. There are good ones. And then I'm sure you heard about the Sonia Massey case of this 36-year-old Black woman who had called 911 for help. And they have the body cam footage that they showed on, I believe it was on YouTube. And this officer, I guess he had some type of a background as well. And that was also in Illinois.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, and I still haven't got the body cam footage. I still haven't received, we've FOIA'd the reports and stuff, and they gave us some crap.
Mhm. Yeah, it says Illinois deputy charged with fatally shooting Sonia Massey, a 36-year-old Black woman.
And she called for help.
Yeah, she called for help and she was not anywhere. Yeah, they have the body cam footage. See, I don't know if you can.
Wow.
So it's
I'm gonna
there.
look that up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
That's horrible.
it's very sad because she was not acting in any way aggressive. This was just, I felt so bad about this. I've never felt so bad about anything that I've seen like that before. Ah,
Yeah, that just breaks your heart. And that just goes back to what I said. Before you dial 911, you need to ask yourself,
mhm,
do
mhm.
you really want to invite this kind of trouble into your life?
Right, right. And that also goes for CPS as well.
Yes, exactly. Oh, yes, yes.
Oh, I'm so
You
glad
are so right.
oh, yeah. I mean, I'm so glad I had you come on. I'd like to have you come on for updates when you're able to.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you.
And how can people reach you, or do you want them to come through me?
They can reach me through you, or they can reach me through my email. It's grass green, GRSSGRN2 at Google or at gmail.com. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So it's GRSGREEN 2 at Gmail.
No, it's GRSS. It's
Oh,
grass green, but without the vowels.
gotcha. GREEN though, right? Grass.
Yeah, GRN.
So GRSSGREEN 2 at
No
Gmail.
green. There it does not have vowels. No E.
Oh. So
I
then
know.
technically it's GRSSGRN, right?
Yes.
2 at gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay. No, as long as I got it straight. So, hey, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I would just like to ask, somebody to please look into this, to, you know, just to kind of hold them responsible or
Mhm,
accountable for
mhm,
what they're doing to people.
exactly.
Not just in this case, but in other cases. I mean, I when I looked it up, there's all kinds of cases with Winnebago County and stuff like that, police brutality and stuff. I mean, that it goes rampant. And
Mhm,
maybe we need to look at being accused of something and being guilty of it are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
So with them saying with whatever crime they are being accused of is the treatment is the treatment that they can give. They can use that much force. With them saying that, that is not innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
That is allowing them to be the judge, the jury, and the executioner.
Mm.
Think about it. I mean, our judicial system says you are innocent until somebody proves you guilty.
Mm-hmm. But it's the other way around.
Exactly. I mean, especially if they can use as much force as the crime that you're being accused of.
Mm-hmm.
Accused is the word.
Oh, so sad. Well, hey.
Something needs to be done, and it's not just in our town.
Mm-hmm.
It's all over. I mean, look with you. You
Mm-hmm.
know, just a simple like a simple custody case, or
Yep.
and they turned it into a big to do,
Yeah.
and you wound up in jail, and they took your children. I
Right.
mean, what in the world?
There's so much corruption and they let it go.
Yes, it makes people scared
Oh,
to
yes.
call the police officers, to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm.
mean, I know myself. I wouldn't call the police if I had, a situation, unless it was, you know, uh really necessary. In
Mm-hmm.
our in the town that I live in, we when they call the ambulance, the police automatically show up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've asked for them not to
Mm-hmm.
before, because I don't want it to be escalated.
Right. Right.
Just a simple, take somebody to the hospital for a bladder infection,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and and then you get the police involved, and one of us could be sitting in jail.
Right. Right. Right.
you
Because
know
yeah. Yeah. Now that you mention it, when I called the ambulance last year for chest pain, and we were just sitting there, and a cop did show up, and he just wanted to make sure there was no domestic violence. It's like, no,
yeah,
we're all fine. He says, okay, bye.
yeah, you know
I
but you
mean,
it's to the point where you don't even want to dial 911 for an
right.
ambulance ride.
Oh, exactly. Well, hey, don't jump off, okay? Uh,
Okay, thank you.
sure. Slam the Gavel's a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these courtrooms. I'm your host, Marianne Petrie. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube, Apple iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google, and other platforms I don't even know about. Again, feel free to buy me a coffee to help keep this podcast going. And thank you, everyone. And thank you very, very much, Rhonda. I appreciate your insight on all of this. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.